Trying to sort this out and having just a tad of trouble here. So, values is what we will be talking about today. Values and why you have to align them if you want to progress in life. I'm just inviting some people. I put some stuff up this morning about this, in so much as using it in the context of manifestation, and how values is one of the key things that needs to be aligned for you to be able to manifest what it is you want to have in your life. And I'm going to go into a bit more detail about this when I've invited the world. And I'm still going. I think I might stop in a second. This is great when you do it from the phone, because you can just invite so many people, where when you do it on the computer you actually can't invite that many people. For some reason it just stops you. So I think that might do, actually, for the moment at least. All right, a few more. Oh, so, okay, let's see. Right, so hello. So hello if you've joined me. Lovely to have you here. Feeling a little bit tired today, actually. I had one of my dreams last night where I received quite a lot of detailed messaging, and it was quite interesting what came through to me last night. And I actually met in spirit with somebody else, which was really beautiful, because it kind of resolved a few things for me, which was really lovely. So I'm a little bit tired because it was a lot to process yesterday, a hell of a lot to process. But today we're talking about values and why you need to have them aligned. But we're talking about it also in the context of manifestation, and the reason why they have to be aligned for you to be able to really manifest in what it is that you're wanting to achieve in your life. It's actually key. And one of the first things that I teach in the 12-week program that I'm due to be launching very soon. So if you've joined me, thank you and hello. If you're on the replay, thank you and hello. So values. What does this mean? So values, these are the key things that are important to you. And they will be based on your own internal representation of the world. Now I'm going to take this quite slowly because this gets quite deep, all right? So just keep coming with me and let me know that you all can hear me okay and that you're getting the messaging okay? So a value is actually a state. And when I say state, I mean that it's something you feel. And because you feel it, your body creates a physical reaction to it through your heart rate, for instance, or it will release proteins, it will start off your hormones, it will do whatever it needs to do. Which in effect actually means that your body and your mind are connected. They're one. They're at one. And this connection is what creates a behaviour. Now what happens is this. There will be an external event that you receive through your senses, okay? And this information or this event, first of all, what's going to happen is you're going to decide whether you delete it, i.e. ignore it, whether you generalise it, so you don't place a massive importance to it, or whether you distort that event or that information in order for it to fit into what it knows. Now, if you imagine how much information and events we are party to, we're bombarded. We are bombarded on a daily basis. And we couldn't possibly decipher everything. It's just impossible. So we, as human beings, what we do is we choose. We choose. And we choose based on what you know. And the what you know are the filters. And this is what happens. So you get the event, we distort, we generalise, or we ignore. Then your brain applies these filters to what it's seeing and hearing. And these filters are time and space, language, memory, traits, previous decisions that you may have made, attitudes, values, and beliefs. And it goes through this process and it starts attaching all of these things to what's going on there. Okay? And then what you end up with is an internal representation of the external event. So what you see in your brain, in your mind, is your internal representation of what's in front of you, which is the reality. Then what happens is this internal representation becomes a state. It's now a state of mind. And the state becomes the feeling. And that feeling communicates with the body so it can fire up the necessary physiological components. Okay? And once this happens, this whole process then determines a behaviour. But what's fascinating about this process is the behaviours then create your identity. Which effectively means that not only are the body and the mind connected as one, your identity is created by the unconscious mind too. Every single thing is connected. The thing is with the unconscious mind is it actually works on automating everything, right? And it's about survival. So when it's filtering, it searches for what we've survived before, and it uses the filters for comparison to apply a meaning to what it's experiencing. But the unconscious mind is also about quantity. So it doesn't work on logic. So if you want to make a change, it feels threatened, as if you're about to kill it and kill off the identity that it has created. So it sees its primary job as keeping you in the present state. The what it knows, the filters it applies. And because your mind, body and identity are connected, not one part of that wants to lose the security of your problems because it knows it can survive them. Because it's built a whole safety mechanism around them within the filters. It's not interested in the quality of your life. It's not interested in your choices. It's not interested in your behaviours. It's only interested in protecting the very thing it's created. And that's the identity. Because it likes it there. Because it knows it really well. It knows it really well. But the good news is you can change your filters. And in this instance, we're talking about your values and your beliefs. And if you change your values and your beliefs, you can change your attitude, which will it will enable you to make different decisions. It will enable you to create different memories and traits and so on. And then this in turn will give you a different interpretation, a different state, and create different behaviours from the body's reactions to the internal representation. And what is mind-blowing here, guys, is that we have all created our identity through the choices that we make using the processes I've just outlined. We have created our identity. Now, you can have two people sitting in the same room, okay, looking at the same thing, hearing the same information, feeling the same stimuli, and they can both come up with a completely different internal representation of what is in front of them, their active experience. And that is all based on the filters that have been applied. So in the 1970s, there was a guy called John Grinder and Richard Bandler, and they developed a system called Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Now, you may have heard of it, NLP for short, yeah? And what it is, it's an approach to communication, personal development, and psychotherapy. And in, I think around 2008, I actually studied the art of NLP. Now, the original thinking was that you could provoke human change by the same sequencing techniques that you would use for a computer program, yeah? So basically they said you can literally put in some programs, someone would follow the same technique, everyone would follow the same technique, yeah? So you could have 100 people in a room, everyone follows a technique, right? Like a computer program, everyone follows a technique. However, what transpired was that although, because they tested it out, if these people were following the same technique, they was coming up with all different outcomes and all different internal representations of actually what was going on in front of them. So the techniques that were applied were exactly the same, but the outcomes were different. So at that point, they concluded that simply programming techniques wouldn't work, and there was something more than that. Something more than that. And there's something unique to being human, and that is the state, the feeling and the emotion, and its connection to the body and the unconscious mind. Now, if you think about your own family, for instance, you and your own family, for instance, or your siblings, each one of you would have had access to exactly the same environment, access to the same information, yet you all developed different identities and personal traits, which proves the point. You cannot just rely on a technique. You would have all been brought up the same, yet you would all create different identities and different traits. And these identities are based on the filters that are applied, okay? And these filters give us the internal representation, the feeling, the state, the body reaction, and then the behaviour. So to change the way the body reacts, to change the way you behave, you have to change the filters that are applied. And you can choose to do that. It's a choice. So NLP studies how we structure our subjective human experience, basically, how we think about emotions and how we think about beliefs, but also what is important to us, our values. And it looks at how we structure our internal world from our external experience, and it attaches a meaning to it. And all change is a journey from an undesirable present state to a desired state, and that's your outcome. And your desired outcome is that something that matters most to you as an individual. It's not a task, it's not part of a to-do list, it's not a task that moves you towards a desired outcome. It's a value. It's a value which is a feeling. So it doesn't matter if you think, it doesn't matter what happens. If you think about what I'm saying that it's the meaning that you place on the situation. It's the meaning that you apply to that experience. And if you've made choices based on your internal representation through your unconscious mind, because it makes all of your choices, you can also unchoose. You can also unchoose to believe and think in a particular way. Because you chose it in the first place, you can make a different choice. Your choices have created your filters, and that's what creates your very own interpretation of the world. But the beauty of this is, right, once you understand that, you will know that if you can create, you can uncreate. If you choose, you can unchoose. So hopefully, I think I've outlined there clearly the connections between emotions and behaviour. And the important thing is to now understand is how your values and beliefs, sorry, my phone just rang, can work against you. And they can create confusion, they can create a disconnect with your thought patterns and how you need to train the body to align with the person that you want to be. You have to train the body to align to the person that you want to be. And you do this by realigning your values so that it fits with the very essence of who you want to become and who you see yourself as. So I'm going to give you an example now based on my own experience. And as part of the course, because this is one of the modules from the 12-week course, there's a structure that I use that takes you through a process and to identify your current value system. And when I carried this out, I thought it was going to be really quite straightforward. And well, so I thought. I really thought it was going to be quite a straightforward process. You know, write them down, and it's you know, it is what it is. And not surprisingly, money was right at the top of my list because I like money. Money makes me feel good. Okay. But however, when I reviewed my top 10, I was a bit taken aback by the outcome. So as you're aware, I do energy healing and I'm a spiritual life coach, and I spent the best part of the last decade helping other people to find love and forgiveness for others, but also for themselves. And I've done some really fantastic work with people and really got them into that place of compassion. But the key word there is around the love, isn't it? And I hadn't reviewed my values statements for a long time, a long time. And they were based on the person that I was before, because you have to do, you have to look into the past before you can look into the future. And what transpired, I mean, talk about conflict. What transpired, in my list, my top 10 list, love wasn't listed. Love was not listed at all. Yet, one of the things that I'm moving towards is to have good quality relationships in my life with my family and my friends. Yet, my family and my friends was also at the bottom, right at the bottom of my list. So I hadn't placed a great deal of value on that at all, which is really interesting for me because that shocked me, because it opened up my awareness to the fact that I was in conflict with myself because I hadn't really put as much effort into those relationships that I thought I had, because I'd lowered the value of them. They was very low in my value base. Very low in my value base. So there's a massive conflict there. You know, one of my goals for my life is to have good quality relationships. But then there was nothing in my values that actually aligned with that. And that was love. It wasn't there. Massive conflict, which meant it was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. So let's talk about some other massive conflicts, for instance. We've got freedom. So I've seen this. People have said they want freedom, but they also want to provide for the family. which is a really nice thing to say, but straight away you have a conflict because you've tied yourself into a responsibility which then doesn't give you the freedom that you want. So you're fighting, you've got an internal conflict going on. But free from what exactly also? Because freedom doesn't quite outline a desire because it's not specific. You cannot not want something either, because the unconscious mind doesn't work on logic. And as soon as you don't want something, it's a double negative, which to the unconscious mind, it equates to you having the very thing that you don't want. Fact. So for instance, you cannot say, I'm not going to be angry. Because all your unconscious mind does is the filters, they just hear it just angry. That's what it hears, angry. So you become angry. Or your behaviours play out from a place of an angry person. If you want to live a particular lifestyle, your values must align to that lifestyle. Because values are your state, and the state is a feeling, and the feeling becomes your behaviour. And if you don't align your values, you cannot change your behaviour or the feeling behind it. It all becomes superficial, and you will not manifest the life that you're calling in when there are conflicting messages being put out to the universe. Like my one, for instance. I wanted quality relationships, yet I didn't hold love as a value. I mean, it just, you can see it, can't you? You can so see it. You know, when you break it down like that, you can so see the conflict, and you can so see why some of my relationships would have broken down, because love wasn't a value for me. It is now, but it wasn't, you know? So that was never, ever, ever going to work, was it? Yeah? So no affirmation, no positive thought was ever going to change that. Because the value is the feeling, which is felt in the body and determines the behaviour, and that is where your focus goes. So remember, guys, a value is a state that is important to you. It's something that you feel. And the unconscious mind, it doesn't apply logic. It doesn't know if the value is good or bad for your quality of life. It doesn't know. It just knows how you feel about it. And I'd go as far to say that what's good and bad for your quality of life will be based on your own moral compass. Yeah? But to manifest your true desires, everything must be aligned. Everything. If your value system isn't the same as your energetic vibration as to what it is you're trying to manifest, then you seriously need to review your values. And you need to get them aligned. Because who you are today and where you need to go to, actually, that is a journey. So you need to align yourself to your values of where you need to be, and you need to do it now, and you need to hold true to that. And as soon as you do that, you then attach a different feeling. And with manifestation, it's about see it, feel it, be it, isn't it? See it, feel it, be it. So yes, we can affirm, I want this, I want that. Positive thoughts, everyone's lovely, everyone's loved, Yes, we can do that. But if you're doing all of those things, and actually inside of you, your values are telling you something different, and they don't align with all of that, you're never going to call it in, guys. You're never going to call it in. And it's a really good concept to go through. It's a really good practice to go through. And this is one of the modules on the 12-week program that I'm launching. I think at the end of this month, I'm launching it. End of January. So please do look out for that. Because what we will do is we will go through the process, and we will find out what your current value system is, where your conflicts lie, where you're fighting yourself, yeah, and then we can go through finding out where it is you need to go to and work on that. And it's a really, really good process to do, because what it does is it gives you a window of your life, and you will see it very, very clearly, just like my example I've given to you, where I want quality relationships but I didn't hold love as a value. Massive, massive, massive conflict there. Massive conflict. So if you're interested in this 12-week course, please do get in contact with me. I will be launching, as I said, and I'm going to do a live on actually what it's all about and the details about it, hopefully very soon. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I'm going to have a look just to see if anyone's got any questions, or I can see quite a lot of people are watching, but so any questions come up from anybody, because I will happily answer them. So no questions, but you can always PM me if you do have a question, and I'll happily talk you through the answer for it, or guide you through whatever. Okay, so on that note, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. I really do appreciate it that you've sat and took the time out of your day to just listen to what I've got to say about the values and the importance of them, and totally appreciate that, and very grateful that you did. So if you're watching the replay, that also applies to you. So on that note, have a fantastic day, and I will see you again soon for another insight into the 12-week program that I'm developing. It's an online course that helps you get to the place where you want to be, and I'll come back with another one of the modules and give you a little bit of an insight. So on that note, take care. Bye now. Bye.